This is CBN NewsWatch.
Thank you so much for joining us on this Tuesday, November 25th. I'm Ephraim Graham. We're going to begin this half hour with news from the Middle East. President Donald Trump signed an executive order Monday directing the U.S. Secretaries of State and Treasury to submit a report within 30 days on the Muslim Brotherhood. As Chris Mitchell now reports, the review will determine if certain chapters of the group should be designated foreign terrorist organizations.
The Muslim Brotherhood was founded in Egypt in 1928. Today, it has chapters throughout the Middle East and the world. President Trump's order read in part, its chapters in Lebanon, Jordan, and Egypt engage in or facilitate and support violence and destabilization campaigns that harm their own regions, United States citizens, and United States interests. Last week, Texas Governor Greg Abbott designated the Muslim Brotherhood as a terrorist organization, stating its actions to support terrorism and to subvert U.S. and Texas laws are unacceptable. The order comes days after a 200-page report cited how the Muslim Brotherhood uses our own democratic institutions to undermine our way of life as part of their plan to establish a global caliphate and Sharia law. In northern Israel, the country is on high alert after the IDF eliminated Hezbollah's military chief. Reportedly, Hezbollah is warning the next conflict is just a matter of time. Israel's foreign minister says Hezbollah must be disarmed.
As long as Hezbollah is the strongest military force in Lebanon, Israel has no security and Lebanon has no future. As long as Hezbollah is not disarmed, Lebanon will remain de facto under Iranian occupation.
And in Gaza, after distributing nearly 190 million meals, the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, or GHF, announced it's ceasing operations. CBN News visited one of the distribution sites where it provided food directly to the people of Gaza, bypassing Hamas, and helped lay the groundwork for the ceasefire. GHF says the new U.S.-backed Civil Military Coordination Center for Gaza Stabilization will be adopting its successful model.
And Chris continues our coverage now. So, Chris, tell us more about this report on the Muslim Brotherhood and why it is so timely.
Well, Ephraim, here's the report itself, and it's called the Muslim Brotherhood's Strategic Entryism into the United States. And what it is a systematic analysis, and it's by the Institute for the Study of Global Anti-Semitism and Policy. And what it does and why this is so significant, Ephraim, it exposes a generational strategy to impose Sharia law on the United States. They call it a civilizational struggle, and it's based on 4 pillars. One is influencing public policy. 2, influencing legal strategies. What that tries to do is minimize criticism of Islam and turn that into charges of Islamophobia and charges of discrimination. Number 3, Ephraim, is infiltration of institutions, charities, universities, schools, and even to influence Middle East studies in those universities. And 4 is to control the narrative through the media to shape the public debate. A key issue in this is the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. We've heard charges of Palestine from the river to the sea, globalize the Intifada. That puts it in context, is what they're trying to do is just influence the media, society, and then introduce in a gradual way Sharia law.
Chris, there's a Muslim concept called tamkeen. Why is it so important?
Well, this is the strategic concept. What they do is gradually introduce Islamic government. It's a deliberate strategy. It's a long-term gradualism. They use the issue, as I said, of Palestine. That's an issue to leverage activism. This is a comprehensive, long-term goal of jihad to try to dilute Western civilization, and then map out a strategy to operate in all forms of society, in political, professional sectors. Now, a wake-up call that many people have thought about is just the Mamdani's election as mayor of New York City. Not only him in New York City, but there were 41 others throughout the U.S., all part of tamkeen to weaken Judeo-Christian civilization and strengthen Islamism till it can impose Sharia law on the rest of society. And that's why this report is so timely and so significant to give people an idea of what is actually happening right now in the United States in terms of what the Muslim Brotherhood strategies are.
I want to turn now to the ceasefires in the north and south with Hezbollah and Hamas. How fragile are they?
They're both very fragile right now. Hezbollah is defiant that it's not going to disarm, but it's limited in its capacity to hit back at Israel. But you heard in our report, they are saying it's just a matter of time before there is some sort of conflict. Israel may have to go in and disarm Hezbollah. As we've talked before, the Lebanese army seems to be either unwilling or unable to disarm Hezbollah. In the south, Ephraim, Hamas is basically saying the ceasefire is over, and it appears that the IDF will have to go in and disarm Hamas. So the wars are not over in the north or the south. Some people here in Israel would say we're living actually in the war between the wars, there are actually an outbreak of major conflict in both the north and in the south.
All right, before we let you go, what do you have for us today on Jerusalem Dateline?
Well, we have updates on the latest. We also have a story on what's called Israel's booming unicorn economy. What is a unicorn? A unicorn is a startup company that actually is valued at more than $1 billion. There's more unicorns here per capita than any other country in the world. We have a story on that. We have an interview with Troy Miller. He's the president of the National Religious Broadcasters, and he's explaining why the church's role is so critical at this time. He believes it's a time for the church to step up. Finally, we also have an interview with Stephen Briggs, and he's answering the question, does Israel matter? And if so, why? He's the head of the podcast, the Israel Matters podcast. So we have interviews with Stephen Briggs, Troy Miller, all about timely matters in the world today.
All right, our CBN News Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell, thank you so much for your insights. Looking forward to hearing from you in the days ahead this week. Nigeria is one of the most dangerous places in the world for Christians. It's facing a new crisis as mass kidnappings of Christian schoolchildren draws sharp condemnation. Now, the White House is stepping up efforts to protect Christians. George Thomas has the details.
The Trump administration is promoting efforts to work with Nigeria's government to stop violence against Christians after the president had threatened to send in the military against Islamic militants. Right now, 253 children and 12 teachers are still being held after they were taken last week from a Catholic school in eastern Nigeria. A total of 303 students were initially abducted, but 50 managed to escape. Earlier in the week, another 25 children, most of them Muslim, were kidnapped in a separate attack in eastern Nigeria. Nigeria remains one of the most dangerous places in the world for Christians. Open Doors reports 69% of all Christians killed for their faith around the world last year were murdered in that country.
Today we speak of blood. We speak of the blood that still cries from Nigerian soil.
Just last week, U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Mike Waltz, joined recording artist Nicki Minaj and faith leaders to spotlight the escalating violence.
In Nigeria, Christians are being targeted, driven from their homes, and killed. Churches have been burned. Families have been torn apart. And entire communities live in fear constantly, simply because of how they pray.
The U.S. gives Nigeria about $1 billion in aid each year. President Trump has threatened to cut that aid and impose sanctions, accusing the government of failing to stop what he calls horrible atrocities.
They're killing the Christians and killing them in very large numbers. We're not going to allow that to happen.
The conditionality will say you really make a serious effort to mitigate and to end this horrific slaughter, or you lose that aid.
For now, the Nigerian government is facing mounting pressure at home and abroad, but families say what they need most is action and the safe return of every child still missing. George Thomas, CBN News.
Here's a quick look now at some of the other news making headlines in the CBN newsroom at this hour. Severe weather affecting parts of Texas as tornadoes left a path of destruction. More than 100 homes damaged, some with roofs blown off and shingles ripped. You can also see debris across yards and trees toppled down from strong winds.
The wind was unbelievable. It was so forceful, it was like fighting 50 men. Until I finally got the door shut.
More storms are expected today as rain moves further in the south from Mississippi to Georgia. 82 million people are estimated to travel for Thanksgiving by train, automobile, or plane. The FAA is projecting a spike in flights with more than 52,000 scheduled today alone. With the spike, many airlines are concerned with passenger behavior. In recent years, the FAA reported a 400% increase in unruly behavior. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy launched a campaign to bring peace back to the skies. He suggests travelers dress more appropriately to encourage better behavior on airplanes. Coming up, controversy is causing more deep division in Great Britain following a new movement to raise the nation's flag. Find out why so many Brits see their own country's flag as a symbol of hate and racism. Stay with us. You're watching CBN NewsWatch. Traditionally, a country flying its flag is seen as an expression of patriotism. In today's Britain, displaying the Union Jack is attacked as hateful and extreme. Now, a new movement is encouraging Brits to proudly wave the banner of their country, and it is being protested loudly. Dale Hurd reports now from Birmingham, England.
A sign of how much British society is coming unglued is how many citizens see flying the British flag as a bad thing.
You get something called Operation Raise the Colours. That sounds very military. It sounds very aggressive.
People aren't putting up this flag to celebrate Britain. They're putting up this flag to remind us that Britain is white and we shouldn't be here.
The British fly plenty of flags. The Palestinian flag, the LGBT rainbow flag, even the flag of ISIS. But fly the Union Jack or the flag of England with St. George's Cross, and in some areas it could get ripped down or start a fight.
Give us back. Give them us back now. It's not your property.
I don't like these flags.
It's about
because we all know what they mean.
What racist?
At the center of this controversy is a movement called Raise the Colours. You wouldn't think that putting up flags would cause this much controversy, and yet this campaign, which was intended to promote patriotism and unity, has been attacked as racist and fascist by the left.
You're a fascist, and you could go away.
Birmingham businessmen Ryan Bridge and Elliot Stanley say they began their movement to boost national pride and unity at a time when some warned Britain could be headed towards civil war. They've stirred a national debate over whether the British have a right to be patriotic and proud of their flag, because some here are not.
We're putting the flags up to display patriotism and for all of us to get behind our national flag.
There's patriotism behind that. I'm sorry.
Well, I disagree with you, I'm afraid.
It's racism, mate. It's racism.
You would think that displaying one's own flag in one's own country could no way be classed as a contentious issue, a contentious act.
And yet Stanley and Bridge have both been doxxed and threatened.
The overwhelming reaction to it has been one of support. As we've gone further into different areas in Birmingham, we've been met with a substantial degree of hostility, and that's now escalating into death threats.
I've had phone calls to my office at work, phone calls on my mobile. I've been getting emails saying, we know who you are, we know where you live, we're coming for you.
Flying the national flag has even been opposed by certain local governments and some police officers. Opponents have also started ripping down and destroying flags honoring veterans.
Look at that. Slashed to pieces. Lest we forget. Slashed to pieces. Disgusting.
I've had somebody come up to us in the street while we're displaying the Union flag, screaming at us that that is the flag of the Nazis.
These are tense times in Britain. Economic optimism is at record lows. There have been riots over uncontrolled immigration and immigrant crime. And a King's College London professor set off alarm bells when he warned Britain is headed towards civil war. The host of Good Morning Britain got a jolt a few weeks ago when this 100-year-old World War II veteran, invited to be honored for his service, said that the sacrifices of World War II weren't worth it because Britain has become less free.
In our country, we've been let down by weak governments, weaker borders, and I feel that instead of going on the streets and rioting like we had in the UK a few years back, for us to just raise a flag, a group of guys, working class men, to raise a flag of our country and show a bit of patriotism.
Fly those flags.
Prime Minister Keir Starmer has even jumped into the flag debate, saying he wants to reclaim the flag from what he calls far-right protesters. In left-leaning Britain, most of the so-called far-right would be called conservative in the United States. Opponents of Raise the Colors don't believe the movement is about unity, but division. Stanley says most of the opposition to Raise the Colors comes not from ethnic or religious minorities, but from what he calls white liberal lunatics. He's vowed that neither they nor the government will stop this movement.
It's going to keep growing. This has now gone from starting in South Birmingham to across the whole of the UK. You know, the more funding we get, the more we can do and keep it country covered in our flag. Why not? It's our country and it's our flag.
Dale Hurd, CBN News in Birmingham, England.
Still ahead, we're taking a look at the importance of setting our minds of the birth of Christ during the holiday season. Stay with us. You're watching CBN NewsWatch. Welcome back to CBN NewsWatch. This time of year, many of us are feeling the holiday rush, complete with all the stress it brings. On this week's Healthy Living, Donna Valerie, author of Looking for Christmas, A Search for Joy and Hope of the Nativity, talks about the importance of setting our minds on the birth of Jesus.
I wanted to take people into the heart of Christmas, straight to the Nativity. It's the Christmas feast that we celebrate. And I wanted to take people into the Nativity to meet Mary and Joseph, Zechariah and Elizabeth, take them to Nazareth and Bethlehem, meet the Magi and the shepherds, take a look at that star, everything involved with the Nativity account. I wanted to dig a little deeper so that people would realize what Jesus came to do. He came to seek and to save the lost. And he did that when he gave up his heavenly throne and came down here for that throne that was his manger when he was born. So not much of a throne in today's eyes, but he came in such a humble way. And I just wanted to explore that for everyone who's seeking something, especially at Christmas, because there's a lot of deep needs, a lot of wounds inside of people, and they are truly looking for something. And I know that you believe, and I believe, they're looking for Jesus. They're looking for Christmas and the heart of what that really means.
I love the title, Looking for Christmas, and it almost sort of suggests that we as a culture have lost the essence of Christmas. Do you think that's true?
Yes, in many ways. I mean, even as Christians, we get caught up in the preparing of the dinner and the going out and shopping and wrapping and the parties. And so I understand that, and I'm all for it. I think we both are. We both get that. But it is so easy to get caught up into that and leave the heart of what Christmas is all about. The birth of Jesus, our Savior, just to leave that to maybe a 30-minute church service throughout that entire month, because yes, it takes us an entire month to celebrate Christmas here in our country. We begin early. As you know, you can go into stores right now and you can see Christmas decorations and crafts that are already out. So we have a long celebration here, but really our focus on Jesus is very short. And so I just really wanted people to get to know Jesus and all of the people and the places surrounding that nativity account and the legacy of love, the greatest story that's ever been told. That's right there in Scripture for us.
So talk about the characters that are in this book that, of course, are in the Bible as well. And you really focus on just the humility and the ordinariness of the characters. And so many of us can just relate to that, too. We feel so ordinary, and we want to make a mark in this world, but yet we feel like we're just average Joes. And you're talking about how we can glorify God in that role, in the same way the characters of the Nativity did.
Absolutely. They were real people. These were real accounts that happened. And we can get caught up in thinking, oh, I'm just so ordinary. I live in this podunk little town. Nothing ever happens here. There's nothing special about me. Well, Mary would have said the same thing. Joseph would have said the same thing. Zachariah and Elizabeth, who were elderly people, they didn't even have children. They absolutely could have said the same thing. And the shepherds, who were on the lowest rung of society, they couldn't even testify in court because that's how low they were on society's ladder. All of them were just ordinary, plain, average people, and God used each and every one of them.
And you can get more from the author of Looking for Christmas, A Search for the Joy and Hope of the Nativity by watching this week's Healthy Living. You can find it on the CBN News Channel at 2:30 this afternoon and 8:30 this evening, both Eastern Time. You can also see it on the CBN News app, and you can find it on YouTube. Stay with us. Your Tuesday Tweetable is coming up next. Time now for your Tuesday Tweetable. This is a message I hope helps you to get through the day, the week, and the months ahead. Inspiration does not bring change. Discipline does. Make the move even when you don't feel like it. You won't always feel inspired to do what needs to be done, but that daily discipline to do it anyway is what is going to deliver the change. With that word, make this a terrific Tuesday. Well, that will do it for this edition of CBN NewsWatch. You can always find more of our news programs on the CBN News Channel at any time. You can also find them online at cbnnews.com. Take a moment, let us know what you think about the stories you've seen here today. You can email us, newswatch@cbn.com. You can also reach out and touch us on Facebook, Instagram, and X. We'll see you back here tomorrow, same time. Goodbye, God bless.